welcome back to Spirit Coffee Talk. We are very happy to be back. As you can tell, myself, Lisa Richmond, and then Elyse here. Elyse Cathray is joining me today. And for the next little while, it's just going to be the two of us, as
Yay.
our lovely Ginette is off doing her healing journey. And we send her and wish her all the healing love
Mm.
here from It's Spirit Coffee Talk. So, welcome back. And we are fresh running fall season after this beautiful summer. How's your summer?
Ooh, it was different than I think I had planned. It was pretty homebody-y, which not mad about. I enjoyed that. Like just to put it out there, I was really plunged into a dark night and it's still happening. So there was all this like lightness and beauty with summer, and there was also like a ton of introspection for me and a ton of like having to sit with the stuff. Um, so that was my summer. It was an intense one.
So, have you felt that you've come out of it a little bit? Like, do you feel like moving in through the change of the season, which we're kind of experiencing right now? Do you feel a shift?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we're going to talk about kind of fall and this eclipse that was just happening on Monday and Monday, Tuesday, whenever that was, and equinox coming up. I would say yes and no. I don't, for me, and I've seen this with a lot of folks, it felt like the summer, there was a lot of big stuff that came up for people and really hard stuff, like people kind of going through like really individual, I want to use the word crises, and I don't want to say it in a sense of like everything was awful and terrible for anybody. I don't mean that necessarily, but just like big things coming up in people's lives that were really causing people to like take a step back and be like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Where am I going? Holy shit. Like it was just big, intense stuff. So I feel like in some respects, there's a shift in that energy for me. In other respects, I'm still very much in it.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel that kind of with, where we're going with the fall energies and stuff. That's where I feel a little bit of the shift, but I'm still very much in the woods. Someone said, "Oh, in the dark forest." And I was like, I feel like I'm on like a dark continent. It's
Yeah.
not just a forest, it's like
Yeah.
the whole continent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's me. How about you?
Well, my summer was amazing. It was the best summer I can remember having in a really long
Mm.
time with my kids. I mean, it wasn't flawless. Like going on
Yeah.
a road trip all summer with little kids, you hit you hit stuff along the way, but generally speaking, it was really wonderful. And then coming back, I was saying to you before we recorded, like I was anticipating coming back and like hitting the ground running and feeling like, okay, fall, like, okay, kids are going back to school. And it's like a big year for me because my oldest is in her senior year of high school, like finishing off. And my youngest, my fourth, is starting her first year in preschool
Oh.
week. So I'm all like, this is going to be such a spectacular year. It's beginnings, it's endings. It's like I was like going into the fall feeling so incredibly excited. And then I feel like I hit a large cement wall.
Mm.
Um, because I was stopped in my tracks. And this, I mean, that full moon, partial lunar eclipse, like I knew intuitively how I want to say like intense, but like important, significant.
Mhm.
It was going to be because I could feel it. Like I could
Mhm.
feel the intention behind it. I was like, okay, that this is coming forward. I don't think I prepared myself for the intensity behind what it really brought.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm grateful because I did have like my spiritual team kind of guiding me. Yet they were like beside me, being like, yes, now keep
Mhm.
going. Yes, now keep going into the darkness. Yes, now you're going to get swallowed up by the depths of the shadows. Yes, this is part of
Mhm.
it. So it's like I knew I could feel them there, yet it didn't quiet down the intensity of it. And the theme, I mean, the theme of this whole kind of season in this little compact energy ball of the moon, the equinox, the planetary alignments, all of it right now is literally karmic wrap ups. It's all like,
Yeah.
if you could put together in one like condensed version of what your life's karmic lesson thus far would be, if not like your entire life, but like at least for the last 20 years kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be? You know, like what would be the big thing, the big kahuna? And that is what is happening. So
Mm-hmm.
any bits that have been pushed away that we haven't looked at
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that's coming up. But here's the thing, the bits that we put away that we haven't looked at, those are usually the bits that are like so hard and that you're
Yeah.
so hard to look at and that we sometimes even put away for our own like safety and our ego
Mm-hmm.
hides because like our nervous system couldn't handle it, all of it at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like
Mm-hmm.
we have picked away at different things. And so like, yay, because of the work we've done.
Yeah.
But these last little bits kind of feel like all the work we've done over the last like 18 years has really come to a surface, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
now this is going to require you to dig so deep into the depths of your knowing and your soul to be able to like work through and mend through and amalgamate and transmute. And this is like I learned it's this life, it's past lives, it's
Yes.
alternate reality, it's ancestral trauma. It is like this huge collective, like the big one that your soul's like, okay, I can only wrap this karma up in this lifetime because it's Earth's, you know, ascension into the like frequency that's going to allow that karma to be transmuted because every lifetime before that didn't allow it, right? Does this make
Yeah.
sense? So
Totally.
like we're feeling it and it's like it's enough to sucker punch you and want to vomit all over the place, right? If it
A thousand,
hasn't, literally. Yeah.
1,000%. Yeah. A big piece of my summer that really pushed me into this like kind of next dark night that I'm experiencing is some like pretty significant health things that are just popping up all over the place. And it's just been a real ride navigating it. And it's been so interesting because like I always talk about the body and, honoring that and working with it and da da da. And doing
So
that,
good with that. You're so, but that's such a gift of yours.
my
I'm
body's like, great, here's all the shit. Deal with it.
right.
Again.
Here's the stuff that you're here to do with this, you
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
isn't that the thing?
Totally.
Because
And
you're
and
experiencing it, but you're also here to guide people through it. Like, that's your
yeah.
gift.
Yeah. And but it's been so not but and it's the roots of that. Like I think we don't realize um health and really any issue, but speaking from my experience of like health stuff, it goes so deep and connects with aspects of our being and our traumas and our ego and our karmas and past life stuff in like ways that you're like, holy shit, like I could have never put that stuff together. And so that was really my focus this summer. And I've really worked hard on that. And then this equinox, like that's where I kind of felt like, okay, I don't really have a ton of forward movement yet, but I feel the ball kind of starting to roll and I'm starting to feel a little bit more grounded and like, okay, we're getting somewhere finally. And then this this equinox like knocked me completely from the side because it
The
rocked me
equinox
in a
or the eclipse?
sorry, the eclipse. What did I say? Yeah, I said equinox, eclipse. Yeah, yeah. The eclipse full moon like blindsided me with some stuff that I just, when it happened, I was like, what the, like, I was like you said, you're sick to your stomach. You're like, I haven't slept all week. Like, it's just been a shit week
Yeah.
and so tough. And when I finally kind of like supported myself through the initial, like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Right. Like that human experience that, we often talk about. is when I was like, oh my gosh, this is also connected. It's a totally different subject matter, and yet it's still extremely connected. And it's connected in ways that are outside of me that I have to support others in. It's it's also connected to me, and and that is finally when, because I felt like my guides and my peeps kind of quiet over the summer around, like we've talked about in past, oftentimes when you're really going through it, they kind of take a few steps back to like let you on, or sometimes that's really infuriating,
Yeah.
because you're like, help me, but it's purposeful. And
Yeah.
then what was really interesting was feeling them step in with this and being like, it's all connected. You
Yeah.
got it. Just
Yes.
as you said, it was the exact same. And we
Yes.
haven't really talked about our week as far as
I
like
know.
what's
I
happened.
know. I feel like we're having our talk and I feel like I
And
know.
it wasn't until, so we're recording this on Friday, it wasn't until yesterday, after a lot of really intense processing and conversations and things, that I was like, oh, oh. And I kind of felt the clouds lift a little bit and be like, oh, this wasn't just to blow everything up. Oh, okay. In so many different
At that
ways.
moment yesterday,
Yeah,
that is incredible because Spirit came to me yesterday morning and was like, this is a moment of feeling like they explained it to me. I had that like um just that internal knowing of like a marathon runner, like going up the side of a mountain. It's like your legs are burning, you're so tired, like you're like, and then when you reach that top, and all of a sudden it's like the sun, and you're like, and it's flat ground, and you're like, oh, you know, you're not done. You know, there's more to the marathon, but
totally.
that moment where you just get a little reprieve,
Yeah,
that's what I felt yesterday. I was like, okay, we're
thousand
getting
percent.
reprieve. Yes.
Yeah.
But there's more, apparently.
Mm. I'm so happy about
So
that.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were speaking too before we started, and I think you touched on it earlier, but that like, especially in North America, the fall is like back to school. And like, even in my brain, I think of the new year as September, because
Same.
I don't have
Always.
children. I'm not in
Always.
school, but forever it will be September is the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And but also January, but also the summer. Um, but there's an energy around like new schedules and back to school and back to work and and traffic picks up and like things are just busier. And
Yeah.
yet, like you said it so eloquently, the energetics of it is like the opposite of that.
It's
And
not supposed to be. Yeah. It's not supposed to be go time.
no, and it feels more confronting to me this year because I'm a fall girly. I love fall. I like the crisp weather, but it's still beautiful and you can be outside. I love the fall drinks. I love the changing of the leaves. Everything's so beautiful. Like I love fall. It's also my birthday season. And yet this year has felt like, ooh, she feels a little different. This,
Yeah. Didn't September feel like it's been the longest month on the face of the earth?
but
Like
I
I
also
feel
feel
like,
like the fastest.
yeah, I feel like like over the past week, like what has transpired in the past week, I'm like, maybe it's because it's lifetimes of karma. And like, that's
Just a
really,
little something.
yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, like transmuting that energy. And I look, I'm like, that was only a week ago. I can't
Yes.
even believe that. Like, I
This
cannot
week feels like a month in itself.
believe that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like, oh, oh. And that's what hit me today. It was like, I sat down for my meditation and I actually like turned on the fireplace for the first time and I sat there and I was just like receiving energy. And I'm like, the only thing I want to do today is come into self, is to
Mhm.
like create that hearth energy within myself, light the fire in my heart space and keep warm and stay in my like my safety zone, which is my home. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And just like building that like a foundation of the next like 8 months in my home. And like the idea of going out, maybe it's just because I like overdid it this past week and there was just so much that came through that all I want to do is just like regenerate at home. But yeah, like for anybody that's watching, that it's like all of a sudden they're like looking at their schedule and they realize October's busier than September was, and it's like go, 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 go time. This is actually like naturally the cycle in which we're starting to gather to come inwards,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We do slow down. We go for our walks through the trees instead of our runs that we did maybe midsummer. We start having more warm foods. We start collecting our root vegetables. Like inherently what our bodies and our like are supposed to do at this time in the northern hemisphere at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we do the opposite. We keep going like into November, then into December, and it's like more and more, more and more and more, you know, Christmas, filling schedules, blah, blah, blah. And everybody gets freaking sick. And then we plummet in January when really like our 12-month calendar is not accurate anyway, like at all. It's ridiculous. Like, right? Like Sept is not supposed to be the ninth month. Sept is 7, Oct is 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually the new year is supposed to be March 1st or April 1st.
I don't remember.
Tell us in the comments.
Educate
It's
us.
like
Thank you.
I think it's April. I think it's April 1st. I really do. It's April 1st.
The fiscal year is April 1st.
Yeah, that's like the day that it's supposed to start, and for a reason, the new year of like renewal and building your energy and getting out there, moving your body. That's what we're naturally inclined to do as human beings. That's our connection, our natural connection to
Mm-hmm.
Mother Gaia, and to so when we are doing the opposite, we're hitting burnout, we're getting sick, we're going against the natural rhythms of our internal cycles.
Mm-hmm.
But society doesn't really allow us to do that, right? Or it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't in the past. So I really like encourage anybody, and this is for myself too. I mean, anytime that it comes up, it's always like I learn and teach through like personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
but being like, how can I honor the natural rhythms within me and this cycle to come in and start really nurturing my intuition? Like this was a very intuitive moon, like coming in and creating that home within self, within your warmth, is actually nurturing your intuition, and you start
Mm-hmm.
coming internally and doing more writing, longer sleeps, that kind of stuff, so that we can build up our natural immunity to be able to like rest enough so we don't get sick. Like why do you think we
Mm-hmm.
always get sick during this time? Is because we're not doing what our bodies are naturally needing, requiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this year it might be a nice challenge almost to see not how much we can do, and like, all right, boss babe, bull. I hate
Oh,
that.
I know,
I
me too.
hate it. I'm like, no, why don't we go in and say, intuitive self, what do I need today? And
Mm-hmm.
actually learn and like teach, like work the muscle of your intuition of what you actually need
Mm-hmm.
versus like what we're pushing out because of what we've been taught or what we've always done, you
Mm-hmm.
know? This is
Mm-hmm.
a real invitation to like break cycles of that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially because of the intensity of us doing this karmic work. We're required to regenerate ourselves for all the work we're doing in this karmic wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the amount of emotional, spiritual, physical energy that is going towards this massive cycle change for us on a karmic level, personally, individually, and collectively, is requiring so much energy that we need to restore this balance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Healing happens in here, not here. I said this in my YouTube message the other day. It's like, we're doing this massive healing and we're not going to think our way through it. It's not like we
Mm-hmm.
can, you know, mentally navigate through all the things. We
Mm-hmm.
have to amalgamate. We have to come into our body. We are the driving force, not
Mm-hmm.
this, but
Yeah.
this. And so, like, coming into your heart space. So, like, just as my guide said, just as you grow when you sleep, you do it without cognitive, like we don't think our way to grow, when
Mhm.
we're growing. But the same thing is when we are transmuting and healing all of these karmic cycles, we're not going to think our way through the healing process of like the lineage and the ancestral trauma and the personal trauma through lifetimes. It's going to heal, amalgamate, and transmute during times of heart space work.
Mhm.
And that comes as like meditation. For me, this is my personal is meditation, baths, working with crystals, sound bowls. Sound bowls is like one of my number one things, that high frequency sound. Um,
Mhm.
Rest, like pulling cards, lighting incense, being with my cats, being with my kids. Like those are the type of things that when I'm actually not thinking about the endless amount of trauma that I'm working through right now, it's in the healing moments of like the love energy is then naturally healing this. That's the moment. So the more that you can step out of the thoughts that like say, I don't know about you, but like if I'm not careful, I'll get caught in the thoughts, the remembering, the stories, the replay of the traumas of these cycles, of this karma, and it'll just play. And all of a sudden, I'm gone. I'm
Mhm.
not in my space of healing. I
Mhm.
can feel it. So when I get stuck in here, I'm not in that place of warm, of that heart home place.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then I pull back.
yeah, and that happens for me too. And another way it happens for me, and it's a trauma, it's a learned trauma response is, um, okay, brain, let's figure out a plan. And I'm going to research and I'm going to do this and I'm going to figure out this and how do I step by step and da, da, da. And like my brain desperately wants something to grasp onto because it gives me a sense of control, right? If you do this and then you do this and then you do this, everything will get better.
Yeah.
And it's even in this week, it's like, okay, yes, steps need to be taken sometimes. As you said, we just sprinted up, a good, an intense part of the marathon, but we still got a good bit of time. So you have to have a plan and real, tangible things to move yourself forward. But that is like a piece of it. And there
Yes.
is so much more in the just like, okay, take the breath. What do I
Yeah.
need? Drop back into the body.
Yeah.
Okay, I notice that my brain is like being banana sandwich right now and trying to like grasp at any possible piece of thing or thought or information or whatever to
Yeah.
gain a sense of control. How can I just like hold myself in that for a moment and just take a breath? Which sounds so contrite, but it just like that's just been one of my main practices
Yeah.
like this week, but also um this summer if big stuff was coming up. Um, a friend of mine sent me as you were speaking, Spirit was like, the quote. A friend of mine sent me this, and it's a quote by Albert Camus, Camus. I'm not actually sure who he is. But it says, in the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, there's that breath.
yes.
Yeah. In
That's
the
literally
depth of winter, I
that heart.
finally learned that within me lay an invincible summer.
Oh,
It almost makes me want to cry again. Cried when I
yeah.
first read it. It's like, oh, yeah, I needed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And so wrapping up these karmic cycles is like the storm, and the eye of the storm is like the invisible summer and the depths of winter,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So really find where it is that you can find your invisible summer then. Okay. Like let's use that and be like, okay, when you are in the situation of being like, well, I can't stop and do nothing today. My schedule's full. Stop and like tune in and reconnect yourself
Yes.
so that you feel grounded and control. Because if you're going on that pace in the whirlwind, nothing's going to work. All the
Yeah.
pieces aren't going to fit. The schedule's not going to align. The people, like it's actually you put yourself further behind
Hmm.
when you don't ground yourself in your center first.
Yeah.
If that means to get like yourself really rooted and centered, that you have to reschedule a few things, then that's fine. Because if you're sick and if you're going too fast and you end up like disaster happens and it sets you back like weeks, whatever, I just got a vision of like somebody spilling on their like MacBook and they can't like log in, or they back into a friggin' pole and they, like those
Mhm.
type of things happen when we aren't grounded in our center and spirits. Like, slow the hell down,
Yeah.
because this isn't getting you anywhere. So I feel like this is a little bit of a message for everyone watching, or maybe even a select few like personal messages about like less is more right now. Really,
Yeah.
less is more right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
On that note,
That was a lot. Welcome back, everyone.
yeah. And what would be really wonderful if you're feeling this would be to take part in a beautiful meditation on Monday nights. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Tell us
gonna,
about
yeah, we've been chatting. There's going to be, it's an equinox, it's a fall, it's a letting go, it's a balancing, especially going into Libra. Um, yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm excited.
it. What is
Okay.
going to
Yeah.
be good? People want to know.
Doesn't everybody know? Aren't you all intuitives? Yeah, starting Monday meditation. So the lovely G has kind of rearranged things. And so I'm really excited. I love leading meditation. So it's going to be the last Monday of every month. We're scheduled
Okay.
until
When's your
like,
first one?
pardon?
When's your first one? This
Next, no, I think it's the 30th is the actual date.
The 30th of
Yeah.
September is the first meditation Monday. So where do
Mhm.
people have to go?
Yeah, so you can
Avalon
go, we'll put in the notes because you're doing some exciting stuff in the fall as well.
Spirit.
So I'll put it in the notes, the link to sign up. I think we're scheduled until last Monday until like March or April. But
Can people just sign up as they go, or do they have to like ahead of time?
either or. So I think you can sign up for one-offs. You can also purchase as a whole. I think you can even purchase like 3 at a time. Recordings will be sent, so you'll have access to it after the fact, and you'll have access to it for a period of time. And I really have an intention of merging the spirit with the somatic with the mental, right? It's that mind body spirit piece that I always preach about and I'm so passionate about, so I'm
Yeah.
excited. So yeah, it's next Monday. I'm not gonna it's I always mess up the time zone, so I'm not gonna say that here because it will be incorrect. I think it's 7 o'clock my time, which is mountain, but I think it's 6 o'clock. Look on the website. Confirm on the
Yeah, so
website.
Meditation Mondays with Elyse. You
Yeah.
guys, if you haven't ever, you've done a couple of like amazing meditations, brief even on Spirit Coffee
Hmm.
Talk,
Yeah.
but you are, in my opinion, just the best of the best. Like, this
Oh,
is
thanks.
and your guidance takes you into this state where, like you said, like using your gifts of somatic work with connection to spirit, and like your voice and your energy and your ability to take people there in meditation is literally like I've never heard before
Oh, thanks.
for anyone. So if you haven't had the gift of being involved in one of Elise's meditations, I really encourage you to go to avalonspirit.com and sign up for Meditation Mondays with Elyse.
Yes, I will put that all. What are you doing? I know you're starting some exciting stuff
I'm
now.
teaching it's called Tune In and Tune Up. You can find it on Avalon Spirit as well. And I do it every second Wednesday evenings, starting in October, the first Wednesday in October. And so far we have 6 of them booked.
Nice.
So 2 in October, 2 in November, 2 in December. And essentially what it is it's all live, right? So you
Mm,
sign up, you're part of our like amazing community, and if you're looking to build your intuition, connect with spirit, how to like turn up your intuitive radio, your frequency, right? I'm teaching a course on just that, how to do that. So we
mm,
start at the
love it.
beginning, and every week kind of has a different theme, but you show up with your journal and your pen and whatever it is that helps you tune in, and we kind of have themes every week. And by the end of it, by the end of the 6 weeks, we're really going to be like tuning in for each other. We're going to share stories of how it's come through in the last 2 weeks, of how your intuition has really come forward, what you can kind of lean into. Is it more of the vision or more of the feeling, or you know what I
Love.
mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm really excited. It's my first time teaching this, and I'm so, so, so excited. So again, avalonspirit.com.
Yes. I mean, I know you that this is something you teach ad hoc all the time. With all of us. I mean, there's been so many times I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Right? Because we all, even if you're a practicing medium, you have moments where you're like, what am I doing? Right. And
Literally
spirit comes and
daily.
goes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so I just think having community in that is so important. And you just
I
have
agree.
such a bright energy to navigate that, and safe. I love a safe space. When I was first starting out, it terrified me to go into like community because I just thought like, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm blah, blah, blah.
I'm wrong.
It's
Yeah.
scary.
And
It's
these are all
scary.
the things that I want to go over because everybody's got it. Am I making it up? Is it,
Yes.
you know, like all that kind of stuff we dive right into, and I'm super jacked about it. So
Amazing. Well, I'll put all of that in the notes below. So, and then I know is starting back up, I believe in October with some of her goodness. So we'll also link that as well.
cool.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to our first time back, and happy full moon eclipse energy that is still like, you know, in us, around us,
Hanging.
hanging on,
Sure.
and our equinox, really enjoying the balance. This is about like, let's use the symbolism here, and equinox is all about the balance of light and dark. And so let's use these symbolisms and creating some balance in our own life right now.
Yeah.
And less is more, everyone. Less is more. But if you want more of this goodness, you can go to avalonspirit.com. You can book with myself and Elyse for
Mhm.
one-on-ones. I offer sound healing. There's so
Oh,
many great new offerings. So head there if you want anything. And thanks again for tuning in. And we will see you next Friday.
bye.
Bye.